So I got into the field of talent development kind of by accident, actually. I was working in a contact center, and it was our first contact center for a company I worked for many, many years. But at the time, it was brand new. We were the first doing this, and I was one of kind of the lead workers. There were like 5 of us, and somebody needed to train all the people. And I became that person. And through that work, then later I was asked to move to corporate when we were launching company-wide, all across the country. And I moved to our corporate offices as the training manager. I really didn't have like a training background or talent development background at all, but it just kind of worked out that way. And since then, I've always been in love with the field. And I did move into several different leadership roles within the company, not necessarily all in training, but later found my way back to learning and development. And spent my last years with the company, my last 8 years with the company in learning and development, creating and delivering leadership development programs. I think the difference between a good facilitator and a great facilitator is in a couple of things. And the first is really good planning. Know your content, but know how much time you're going to need and where you can build in some engagement and interactivity lessons or something. But the other thing I think that I have seen the great facilitators that I've seen do well is creating good context up front and just not jump right in, but instead up front talk about not just you and your introductions, but everybody in the room and their introductions and why we're here today and what this is going to do for us. And then they can relate to the content right away. And we know that one of the best things for adult learners is how they relate to the content from their previous experiences. So when you build that context up front, they're in, and then you can get into the content. It doesn't feel like just a lecture. So I think my favorite part about facilitating is when you get people comfortable and then they start sharing. Because I do not think that a good program is just solely the facilitator speaking. It comes from them showing their learning, maybe struggling a little bit with the content, but by the end they're like, oh, that was great. And you can kind of see the learning happening. I like that. Yeah, I think the first thing that I would teach brand new leaders is relationship building. I think that's where all of their results come from, having a good relationship. And if you don't, you can't really expect people to go over and above for you if you're not going to take the time to get to know them and what's important to them and learn a little bit about their life, but also their career goals and help them in their lives, remove obstacles in their workplace. When you do that, you can start seeing people connect at a much better level. And so it gives the company good results, it gives the leader good results, but it also feels great for the employee. I think if I were visiting with executives or seasoned leaders, one of the things that I would want them to think about or kind of reconnect with if they can is what it feels like to be an entry-level employee or an employee that is not in a leadership role, and sometimes even the first-line leaders. But the lives are different. And I think sometimes we get removed from that and we kind of forget. And the best place to really start is looking at your employee opinion results, your employee engagement survey results. You can see things from the data. And then you pull that and start doing your listening tours or your one-on-ones or however you want to start connecting and spending time with people. And it will remind you of what the struggle is at that level. And then you can make different connections. I worked with one executive who really struggled because he didn't want to go out and say good morning to everyone in the mornings. And, I'm sure when we went virtual, he was probably thrilled. But people want to know that you know what they're doing, that you're there, just to say hello. Something like that can really go a long way with people. I did, and I brought one of my books with me so you could see it. It's called The Workplace Atmosphere, Transforming the Work Environment from Dismal to Desired. And you see the people over here are kind of dismal. They're not real happy to be at work. So we want them to be over here where they're really feeling good about coming to work. They love where they work. They will go over and above the call of duty for their leadership and for the company because they love it. They feel good about it. And I was really drawn to write this book because of my own personal experiences. I worked in a very large organization for 33 years. And during that time, I had some great leaders, some really great leaders that I learned from and wanted to emulate. And then I had some good leaders, but I had two kind of not great, and one in particular that was just a really bad experience for me where I just felt like I hit a wall, and during that time, I gained a lot of weight. I was depressed. I just didn't even look like myself. I didn't look forward to coming to work in the way that I had before. So I didn't even recognize myself. And going through that experience and being so disengaged, coming out of it on the other side, when I got another role within the organization, again, I had a great leader. I had a great peer. My team was great. Like, I loved going to work again. So it was literally, kind of down, up. And during that time where I was so disengaged, how it affected me personally was really what I was reflecting on. And because I was so disengaged, I couldn't do my best work. I didn't feel like I could bring anything innovative or creative. I felt like much of the time I was just putting out fires where people's feelings had been hurt, or they're thinking, why are we doing this? This doesn't make sense. That's not how that was communicated. What's happening now? It was just confusion and chaos a lot of the time. So it was difficult. And what I was thinking after kind of coming through and having a good experience again, and all my remaining experiences after that were really good, that I never wanted anybody else to feel that way during that time, how I felt. And so how can we help leaders understand that these are things that can really be detrimental to the workplace? And it impacts the results. It impacts whether or not people show up for work, how they show up. Are they going to bring new ideas? If they don't feel like you're going to receive them, they're not going to even share. So you might be really missing out on some great stuff if you're not creating a great environment where people can thrive. Really, when I'm not working, there are a couple of different things that I'm involved in that I love to do. And obviously, my family is really important to me. But also, I have been a member of Rotary International for 22 years now. And I'm very involved in my local Rotary Club and also at the state level. And I'm also very involved in another organization, the Association of Talent Development, where that organization is the professional organization for learning professionals. And I love spending time with the people in that group because they're a lot like me. They've become many of my friends, so it's fun to do stuff together. So we do a lot of that too. And then I like to do sometimes just fun little quirky things, like I'm going to a glass blowing class and, go on a fun vacation somewhere different that I've never been, and so I can do something that I've never done.